if you do something that you like, then this idea of offering is going to make you that passionate person who gives a lot. Creativity is thinking outside of the box. Fortunately, it's the system that does not allow people to be creative in the class. Do the things that you love and tell our kids that they need to learn, as I told you, as many things as possible. And then choose what you like.
Chryssanthe Sotiriou, Deputy General Director of Education and Head of the Department of Foreign Languages at Doukas School, is a trailblazer in multilingual education and a forward-thinking leader, redefining what it means to innovate in schools today. She's been a driving force behind cutting-edge educational initiatives in Greece and beyond, championing inclusion, harnessing the power of AI, and leading with a vision for a truly future-ready learning environment.
So the school should be fun, the school should be useful. Also, the school should have something at the end that will give you, I mean, what is your aim? What is your target? We keep the fact that it's not only the power of knowledge, it's not only the power of being passionate about something, it's the fact that you love your students.
Chryssanthe, tell us a bit about your role in this school and how your mission, your personal mission, is fulfilled through this role.
Okay. Well, the role that I'm actually holding, because, there was a very big path for me in this school that started, and the history, I might say, started 30 years ago. That's my 31st second 1 year. So actually now what I am, I'm a deputy general manager of education, which means that I go around the whole school from K, pre-K, up to IB, where we discuss different ideas, number one, and we try to solve different problems. And I'm also the head of the Department of Foreign Languages. So what I actually do is that I'm trying, and this is something that I want always, I'm trying to help my colleagues to solve their problems, if there are any, to have a better contact with the students, and to use all innovative methods, because this is something that makes them better, and of course, the teaching better. And it's something that actually the kids like. So it's a very simple role, quotation marks, but demanding. And I like it.
Yeah.
So because I started as a teacher 3 decades ago. And when I started, I said, wow, this is something that I want to do. I always wanted that. And while, the years were passing by and I was trying to give all these things to my student, because actually it was the student who was for me the main, I mean, that was my main project, my students. What are they going to do? What are they going to get at the end of the day? At the end of each day? Because each day was different, was something different for me. So I had that, I had that really nice, let's say, history with teaching. And then one day they told me, would you like now to be the person who is going to be in charge of all these teachers? At the beginning, it sounded interesting. And said, okay, yes, I will do more things for more people, for more students, not only for my class. It was difficult though, because, as students are different and teachers are different. So what I wanted was to give them the basic idea of what we're going to do. And then I didn't want to impose that. I told them, now it's something that you are going to use, but you're going to use it in your own way. And then years passed by and they were telling me, okay, you are doing, it's nice. And now you can do that for more people. And not only for people of our school, but, you can share the knowledge with others. Would you like to present something? That was the second it clicked. I said, yes, I want that. And that was the day that I gave my first presentation for all the things that I was doing in class. Was something exceptional for me. I mean, I, I said, wow, this is where I want to be,
Yeah.
in the middle of a stage, trying to give all the things that I had the possibility to do in my class to other people. Because, I am a privileged person. I mean, I work in a private school in Athens, and we do have lots of things that we can use, a lot of technology, and we have very good people who are in charge of the school. So they give us lots of opportunities to improve. And I said, Chryssanthe, I mean, it's not only you, it's not only your students. There are many people who might get a little bit, I mean, something, the slightest idea of what you are doing in the class. They're not going to use everything because probably might not have the means, but they can use few things from the things that you do in class. And I realized that that was my mission, not only to give, that knowledge to my students, but also to share things with my colleagues. And I really love that. And every time I have that, you've got that in your heart every time that you are either in front of your students or in front of your colleagues. I mean, that anxiety, am I going to give them what they're asking for?
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, this is how I see me now, as a person who is going to help teachers, who is going to be around and help the students. And if somebody asks for, an idea or something that I can give, I'm always here.
Thank you.
And I like that.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing this concern. And this might be a concern that other teachers have about their students. Like, am I going to give them enough? Am I going to give them, are they going to take what I'm giving them? So what is your advice to this teacher who is having these concerns?
Well, if a teacher has a concern like that, then he is that teacher. I'm telling you that. So, I mean, if you are always worrying about what are they going to get from me at the end of the day? Then you are doing your best and you love what you're doing and you try to give that to your students. So I cannot give an advice on that because, I believe that all the people who try to be with the students, 95% are people who have worked really hard for that. I mean, they study, they take all these really nice webinars and they want to improve themselves and they say, okay, now I will give you an example. Now it is a trend with AI. So I have read an article about 2 days ago that was saying, why don't they use enough of AI in their classes? And at the end, the article was saying that it is probably because they're frightened of not being able to use it in a way that will help their students. So actually, my advice to anybody who is in class and wants to give something at the end of the day to the student is be yourself. Be yourself and do all the things that you want to improve the life of your students. So be yourself and live. I mean, live that passionate path of knowledge, of teaching. Be as passionate as your students and try to look through their eyes. Because every time, I mean, when you get inside a classroom, you don't need to teach, in that very strict sense. For example, we are foreign language teachers. So we do have to use, let's say, to do grammar or do a reading text, blah, blah. And we say, oh, no, I mean, I have to do that because it is the ELI that needs to be finished. That thing that is like a gray cloud on top of everybody. You need to finish that and finish that.
Yeah.
But the students don't want that. The students might need to talk with you, to express their concerns. And yes, they will express these concerns by using simple present and present continuous, and that is a lesson. But they want something different. They want a person who really cares about them. So if they see that in your eyes, then you're not going to have any problems. I mean, go with the students, listen to the things that they have to tell you, even if they speak not. I mean, you might see somebody. My students tell me, Miss, how come you understand that I'm unhappy? I'm saying because I can see your eyes. So it's as if, you have that close psychological bond with them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so heartwarming to see leaders in such like leadership positions being able to reach students and like
You know why? Because I have started as a teacher.
yeah.
I started as a teacher in the primary school. I have seen all the difficulties because our profession is a really difficult one, a demanding profession, a profession that has to do not only with knowledge but also with the emotions, and that's the most difficult part. So I am a person who is inside the classroom, who teaches, who goes around, who wants to see the problems and listens carefully to the colleagues, to the students, to the parents, because parents are also a very important ingredient of that equation. I mean, if you want to offer, you need to listen to the parents, even if sometimes they have got, how would I say, they have got concerns. Let's put it in that way. Okay, and they tell you, you have to do that.
Yeah.
Usually, what happens is that most people they say, they're not going to tell me how am I going to do my job, But at the end of our discussion, I realized that they do that because not because they want to tell me, Miss Chryssanthe, do it, but because they care about their children.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't know how to tell that. So if you listen carefully, understand their concern, then you will be able to tell them, no worries, I'm here and I will help your child.
We should see it as an opportunity for them to express their concerns and their insecurities about raising their child and how they imagine it, right?
Yeah, yes, they imagine it in a completely different way because what happens is sometimes parents come here and tell us, when I was 10 years old, we were doing translation. But then you need to persuade them that things now are different. But you need to persuade them in a very positive way to understand that you are not the teacher for the parent, you are the teacher for the child. So actually, what the conversation between you two is a conversation that might help both parties to understand what is best for their child. So that's another very important part of our profession, taking care of parents. And I believe that's difficult as well.
Yeah. Super difficult. No doubt about that. And so now I'm going back to this concern you shared. You said if you're concerned, it means you're on the right path, like on the right track. And this is contradictory, right? Being concerned and being on the right track and this seems to me like one ingredient of this recipe that makes a good teacher, a teacher that makes a positive difference in their students' lives. Are there any other ingredients that are contradictory but worth mentioning right now so that people are aware of it and feel better in themselves what they're doing, the practices they're doing?
Yeah, I think another important thing is to, what we say as continuous professional development is something that people need to understand that they need to have, to follow webinars, to understand what's going on, the latest trends, to understand if something is new, they should not be afraid of it. They should be informed about it, be well ahead, and then in that way they're going to help their students. For example, flipped classroom. That's my favorite. Flipped teaching. That's a technique that it's really interesting and helps the students. but you need to be well informed. You need to do some seminars on that. So another ingredient is to be well informed. I mean, okay, we have all, we've been university students, we have graduated, but this should not stop there. We need to do more and more in order to be well ahead of everything that happens. I know that this is difficult, but actually, these days, I think it is much easier. You know why? Because there are too many webinars, and I mean, you can do it at home. And if you've got half an hour, okay, you've got the recording and you can watch it. But that shows that you want to do something different. You want to do something. And another ingredient for a nice lesson is being creative. I mean, not only with the books, not only with technology. I would use a sock puppet for the young ones, or even a speaking pen. That's my favorite one, the speaking pen for uh, junior high school. And that speaking pen, it's the one that shares ideas and they want to tell the speaking pen what's happening. Or give the floor to the students. For example, you can make them teacher for a day. That's my favorite. If you tell them, Theodora, you will be teacher for a day. Theodora, in 2 days, she comes and asks questions and tell me, Miss Chryssanthe, how am I going to tell that? And please tell me about my PowerPoint presentation, blah, blah, blah. So Theodora will be a super duper expert on passive voice. If you tell her, Theodora, teacher for a day. So be creative. Use different techniques. You need to be, students should realize that their teacher is not predictable. If you're predictable, then they say, okay, today she will do that. But if you do something different, then they say, different things, Miss Chryssanthe. Let's see what we're going to learn today. So I think that creativity is also important.
Yeah, and how can somebody learn to be creative? Is this something that can be taught? Is there a process? Or you're born creative?
A teacher is born to be a creative person. That's for sure. I mean, and you know why? Because even if people say, I'm not creative, I cannot draw. No, creativity is not drawing. Creativity is going back home and while you are in front of your computer watching something about the news, you see that video of 2 minutes and you say, wow, I like this video. Probably I will use it tomorrow with my class. That's creativity. Creativity is thinking outside of the box. And I'm sure that all of us, all the teachers, they do that. You know why? Because they're concerned about because they care about their students. And because they say that by the end of the day, what I want for my students is to learn something from my lesson, not only grammar, reading, whatever, to learn about values. And that's another ingredient for a nice lesson. At the end of the lesson, just have a value that comes out. It might be patience. You need to be patient. You need to finish the lesson and then we'll do a nice Kahoot. Or it might be you need to be a kind-hearted person because we saw a bird outside of the window. So that's something that, matches with creativity as well. But also matches with passion. And teachers are passionate.
And I would add here that, as we said, everybody's creative. Maybe the ones who haven't realized it are the ones who are afraid to make changes in their classes. They're afraid they might break their students in some way. Maybe this is to overcome.
You know what happens? Unfortunately, it's the system that does not allow people to be creative in the class. And that's why I'm telling you that sometimes I feel privileged because I work in an environment well changed is not something uh, to be blamed. I mean, it's something that, okay, you can do something different and I support you. And I believe that, and that happens with people also who run Efrodisteria and language schools and everything. But also, this happens from these passionate teachers in public schools, which I admire a lot. And I have worked with many of them because these people, they're not afraid of breaking eggs, they're not afraid of the change. They want to offer that different thing to their
Just
students.
like the pioneers.
And I've seen lots of people like that. I mean, and I really admire them. And I'm saying, wow, they do such a fantastic job. Because actually is that the fact that they love the things that they do. And this is something that I always tell to my students. Try to learn as many things as possible, because in that way, you will be able to choose, not to be chosen, to choose your profession, to choose something that you like. Because when you go every day, I mean, you go to your office every day and you're happy and you want to offer, okay, one day that thing might not happen, or a second day or a third day, whatever. But the feeling that you have is that feeling of offering to the society, offering to education, offering to your students. So if you do something that you like, then this idea of offering is going to make you that passionate person who gives a lot. And this is something that we need to teach to our students, we need to teach to our kids. Do the things that you love. Because in that way, you will become better and you are going to give to the other person more things. I know that this is not the case in for everybody, but at least try and tell our kids that they need to learn, as I told you, as many things as possible. And then choose what you like. Some people might like to become teachers. Some others might like to become doctors. Another person might like to be the person who helps the elderly ones in these houses. Don't tell to the students, no, this is not a profession, this is something that you cannot do. No. Help them realize what they really have in their hearts. And that's another ingredient for a good lesson.
Being able to stand back and allow the students to explore their passion.
To explore, yeah.
Tell us about your passion. What is your latest passion? What makes you wake up in the morning and rush to work, or whatever this passion is, if it's not at work?
Well, as I told you, I started here in the school as a primary school teacher. And then I went to another building as a junior high, senior high, blah, blah, to the IB department. But these 2 years, I came back to the primary school building. And I go up and down the stairs in the different classes. And I like students coming out, greeting me with something, with a different, let's say, idea every day. And that is my latest, let's say, passion. Going back to what I was actually doing 25 years ago and trying to see the differences and the similarities. And in that way, trying to help my colleagues, let's say, change a little bit the way they teach in there.
So you have asked your students to come to you to give.
They do. They do. And my door is always open. And, I'm not that kind of person say, oh, we're going to Miss Chryssanthe and I mean, she's the head or whatever. No, I always, when I present myself, I'm saying I'm a teacher. Because that's what I am. I mean, that's something that I have in my heart, and also in my heart mostly, because the brain sometimes changes in different positions. But anyway, that's why I'm telling to my students, my door is always open. Come here, tell me about everything that concerns you. Tell me about new ideas that you want us to do in the class, or tell us about a nice project. And they love that because they see that, we are open to their opinion. And they realize that, wow, my voice is heard. So I'm saying yes. And then I give them a sweet as well, which is something that's an extra treat. Probably they come for that. It's okay.
Yeah. And this is how you cultivate creativity, I suppose, because if the students want to come and visit you, they have to think of a nice idea.
They do. They do. Creativity and also responsibility, because they know that they will come with a nice idea. So they need to be responsible of, let's say, finding all the different things that might help us to implement this idea. Cooperation, because probably two of them have got the same idea. And also, that's what I want. I want them to be passionate about something. So what I got from this job, I want to give it to the students. I want to give it to my colleagues. And I mean, if somebody, let's say, wants to do that job, they should know that it is a difficult job, but it is a very, very rewarding one. And it is rewarding because the day, somebody comes to your office after, and that happened about a week ago, after 15 years, because as I teach here for 30 years, I've seen different graduates, by saying, now he's 22, 23. So for him, I'm always Miss Chryssanthe. So that, for me, this is rewarding. If somebody comes in and says, "Good morning, Mrs. Santi, how are you?" I remember that person as a kid, a 10-year-old kid, a 15-year-old kid, and now a 22-year-old grown-up, who always remembers me as Miss Chryssanthe. So that's for me, that's rewarding.
That's rewarding. Exactly.
It is. It is.
And the idea you shared is brilliant. And I would invite every leader who is listening to Ray's podcast, to this episode, to just give it a try. Give it a try to have invite students, walk in the corridors and invite students to come and visit them with ideas. And
You will be surprised. You will be surprised by their ideas. At the beginning, probably they find it as a game, but later on, when you choose one of these ideas and this idea is implemented, then they realize that something is happening. And as I told you, listen to the students. They always have something important to tell us. And this is, I think this is what, that's the heart of our profession. The fact that we work with young ones, people who love their job, who love the fact that, let's say, somebody takes care of them and they're going to give it back to you.
Most definitely.
It's a win-win situation.
Exactly. It's a growth journey for both sides, both parties.
It is.
And tell us a bit more about the school you work at, and the school's mission, and how they build that with the values you are teaching to the students.
Well, our school, as I told you, is Doukas School. It's a private school in Athens, Greece. And it's a school with 107-year-old history. And it's a school that combines tradition and innovation. So, and it is difficult to happen, because if somebody, let's say, is a traditional person, they believe that it is not a person who uses cutting edge technology, let's say. No, we do that. And what happens in our school is that actually we have that triangle of knowledge, of skills, and of values. And each of these parts, each of these pillars is equally important to the educational model. And as I told you before, if you remember, at the end of the lesson, I just want our students to take a value with them, because values are important. It is something that the school should cultivate. Okay, and something that we tell, I tell to my students, now probably you won't remember about passive voice or reported speech or, let's say, tenses, but I want you to remember that in the class we respect people. And if they learn that, in the school, that will follow them throughout their lives. And this is the mission of the teacher. And the mission of our school is to cultivate that respect, is to recognize the uniqueness of every student. And that's the motto of the school. Each child is unique. So you need to treat them in a different way. And also the fact that the school should be useful.
Mhm.
The school should be fun. It is something that we forget, you know. Every time we talk about studying and studying and studying, but we tend to forget that kids are kids and they need that part, that playful part of the school. So the school should be fun, the school should be useful. Also, the school should have something at the end that we give you. I mean, what is your aim? What is your target? Do you want to become a university student? Do you want to become a global citizen? Do you want to become just a person who goes around and, let's say, have fun? Okay, but at least have some values. And we believe a lot in that. That's why we do have a program that is called Life Skills. And that program starts from kindergarten and goes up to grade 12, where we teach these values. We talk about the way students should behave to the elder ones. We talk about, let's say, how to behave to people who are not as privileged as themselves. And there are programs about the waste of food, programs about people who have got disabilities, especially in sports. And we've got a day, we call them the DWell Day, where all these things, it's like a fun fair where we celebrate all these things. Also, we try to combine all these things with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Because if you think of these goals, you will realize that each one of them goes somewhere in the school. For example, do not waste food. Don't take your sandwiches and just throw it away. There are people who are hungry. Do not waste water. Try to have a clean environment. We talk about sustainable cities. So the mission and the vision of the school is to cultivate global citizens, but with a Greek identity. We are global, but we love local. We need to keep our identity and try to show all these good things that Greek identity has got all around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree on that. And
Many other things.
yeah.
Because if you ask me, I could talk for hours because I always do different projects and I always get involved with different projects. And that is something important for the students as well.
Yeah, great. And I'm sure they enjoy it. I'm sure they love it, and I'm sure they learn a lot of things through this process.
We need to offer them something different.
Yeah.
We need to offer, okay, you're going to talk about, let's say, the environment. If you don't have, not a big garden, but just, have a small part of land where you are going to plant a flower, or you're going to plant, let's say, tomatoes or potatoes. We do that. And try to water them every day, because if you don't water them, then they're going to die. So you understand that you have a responsibility on that. And then at the end, you realize that you had to pay attention because there are some small insects that might hurt them. So yes, you learn about these things as well. And at the end, you get the final product where you can share it with people in the here in community of Marusi. We just take them some of our potatoes and we tell them it's from our garden. So you can give them to people, who don't have food, let's say. Okay, it's for 1 or 2 portions, but for the students of the first and second grade, this is as if they have given the world to some people.
Yeah, it's a huge learning opportunity.
It is. It is.
No. And teaching them that you need to pay it forward. No, do not expect anything in return. That's a really valuable lesson.
I think that that is the idea. I mean, most teachers they look themselves as the parents, and parents do the same thing. They teach their children. They do not expect something in return. You just do it because not because you're programmed, but because you want to. Because you will go the next day and you will see these very sparkling eyes of that child who learned something and these eyes, they tell, thank you, thank you, thank you. And you realize that, okay, this is the mission that I have.
And now your school has partnered with Cognita Schools.
Yes, we've been partners. So this is a huge opportunity. And I will tell you why. This group, it's a group of 107 schools. And there are schools in UK, there are schools in Spain, in South America. But the good thing is that we are going to have, and we started with that, we are going to have, let's say at the beginning, e-exchange. We do have some Skype and team connection. And we try to see the differences and the similarities of the educational system. And also, the good thing is that when you become a part of a global educational community, you take good ideas from them, but you also share ideas. And I'm telling you this, Greece and Greek schools, private or public, they're way ahead in terms of education.
Wow.
And this is something that, I truly believe that. I have seen colleagues who do, extremely interesting things and projects. And yes, we need to be proud of what we have achieved because we do a lot of things, and we care about the students, even if sometimes we are exhausted. You see, I see these photos in Facebook that they say a teacher before the beginning of the school year, just before Christmas vacation. Everybody is like that. But anyway, you know what happened? It's the same thing with the parents. I mean, all the colleagues are really very tired. But when they finished everything and it's Friday, let's say 2 o'clock now, just before the Christmas vacation, immediately they forget everything. You know why? Because they love the students. It's not that they feel that it's like a burden. It's because they want to give a lot and sometimes they don't give these things and they get frustrated, whatever. But then they say, oh no, these are my kids. And how can you say to your kids, no, I'm not, not gonna teach you anything because you were naughty. Oh, anyway, but it's because they love them.
Yeah.
And this is what we keep at the end. At the end of the day, we keep the fact that it's not only the power of knowledge, it's not only the power of being passionate about something, it's the fact that you love your students.
And sometimes we might be having second thoughts, but we very quickly are drawn back to the passion.
The same thing we do with our own children.
Yeah.
No, I do the same thing with my child. He does something and I say, oh, no, I'm not going to do that again. Please go away. And then in an hour, I'm a completely different person. Why? Because I love that person. I'm, let's say I want them to be happy, and I want them to learn, but mostly I want them to be very strong, you know, because this is something that our uh, society asks for. We need to be strong. We need to be strong.
Well, Chryssanthe, this has been such an enlightening conversation. I feel your heart, like you have been sharing so much, and I felt it in my heart as well. So, for the final part of this episode, I play a game with my guests, and it's my book hack. I think you've heard of it. So, in this hack, you have to choose one of the books, and and then you will pick a page. So, which one do you pick?
You know which one
No,
I
I
would.
don't.
Oh, you don't? Okay. It's Atlas of the Heart.
Okay. I should have guessed that. Okay, now give me a page.
17.
17, okay.
It's the number in, in the T-shirt of my son. He's a handball player, so that's the number as a T
Nice.
player.
That's great. So 17 is not a page with a script. You could change or
18.
do the picture and what
It says
we-
places.
yes, places we go when we compare.
Hmm.
Comparison, admiration, reverence, envy, jealousy, resentment, Schadenfreude, and Freudenfreude. I don't know these German words.
I don't.
Yes. You could pick another page or we could discuss about the
Okay, 40. Page 40. Let's see.
Okay, because there are lots of pictures in this book. 40, 40, 40. Yes, we have script.
Good. That's
Okay,
nice.
now give me a line, a number of a line, and I will read this line and the context of it.
7.
Okay. So we will discuss how this resonates. I will just read it, the whole sentence.
Okay.
So, when we have more control and autonomy over the boring tasks, it's more likely that boredom will leave us feeling lethargic. If we have little autonomy and control over the boring tasks, we're more likely to feel frustration. How does this resonate?
So we've got a boring task. And in this boring task, we need more autonomy. If we have got less autonomy, that means that we are frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
I believe if somebody listens to our conversation, they will realize that somewhere in there, they will find that. Because what happens is that there are students who believe that school, knowledge, studying is boring.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because they feel that it's the teacher who does the lecture, the teacher who is the person who, let's say, gives them the ideas of what to do. However, the thing is that if you give to the student autonomy, this student is going to blossom. Remember what I told you with my open door. If you give them, let's say, okay, come here, tell me your ideas, tell me what you want to do, then everything that is boring becomes different. So I believe that this is a sentence that characterizes me.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I'm so happy. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Chryssanthe.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed our conversation. And I believe that if somebody wants to become a teacher and listens to us now, I would advise them to do so because it is important to give to the children your knowledge, your passion, your heart, and let them become the grown-ups, not the grown-ups that we want, but the grown-ups they want. And give them that autonomy that this line of the Atlas of the Heart tells us. Let them be autonomous. You will be surprised by the results.